A writer, a photographer, on the road exploring a fascinating world in a state of perpetual motion, constantly departing while always arriving, seeking a window into an ever-changing universe. This is WION Traveller.
The quaint Binsar Wildlife Sanctuary, with its unspoilt air and astonishing biodiversity, is the pick of all the places we have visited in the lower Himalayas. The only question we ask before recommending the sanctuary as a destination is, how are you planning to travel? You see, Binsar is not the easiest place to get to. In fact, it's the perfect illustration of a place we've found only because we were driving around the region. Road trips are definitely the most immersive way to travel, and that's not the only reason we love getting on the road. Meraj likes driving, and his writing work gets him access to some great cars. I like, well, chilling on the passenger seat and making the most of the views.
Oh! Snow-capped peaks, bro!
Seriously though, our most rewarding trips have been drives, on which we have visited distant regions, explored remote places, and run into some of the friendliest and most fascinating people we have met on our travels. Located somewhere on the evolutionary arrow between a hamlet and a village, Binsar is a place which you're not likely to chance upon while traveling through the Kumaun Hills. It's not on the tourist map for predictable reasons. No urban facilities, sporadic mobile connectivity, and just a handful of places to stay. The sanctuary is only about 50 square kilometers. Tiny compared to other wildlife parks. Originally deemed protected on account of its rich bird life, the sanctuary has become a haven for a rich diversity of fauna that thrives in its ancient oak forests. Here you can get some digital detox. Indulge in lazy alfresco lunches and just soak in the grand spectacle of nature.
You know, 2 or 3 years back when Johan and I were thinking about WION Traveller, we had a short list of names. One of them was called Off the Grid, and we thought it sounded really cool, and it was kind of representative of the kind of offbeat, remote experiences that we wanted to have and showcase. But I don't think either of us really sort of gave much of a thought to what off the grid really meant. If you look up the dictionary, it means off the electricity grid, which means you're generating your own electricity, whether it's through hydro or whether it's through solar panels. It also extends to sort of drawing your own water, whether it's from wells or springs or just harvesting rainwater. We're at Binsar Wildlife Reserve, and I think this is the first time that we are truly off the grid.
Morning.
Good morning, Meraj. How are you doing?
Yeah, you're all set.
That's where the mountains are supposed to be, or if it's no clouds in the way.
Well, they were visible some time back, but now the clouds are kind of rolled in. Pretty, yeah?
It's always in the morning, it's the clearest, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I thought I'd wake you up, but then obviously you didn't look like you were in any mood to wake up.
What a place to live, huh?
What a place to live, man. Can you imagine living here?
When you've finally had your fill, then it's a good idea to leave Binsar with a little extra time to spend on the road. Driving in the hills is a taxing job, and we'd recommend taking frequent breaks. Assuming you're used to these curves, 30 kilometers per hour is about as fast as you can hope to go on these roads. On the way back to Delhi, it's a good idea to stop for a night in Bhimtal, the last town in the hills. We did, and it turned out to be an excellent idea. Not just because it broke the journey, but I ended up meeting Ila Smitacek, a lovely young woman who's been campaigning tirelessly to raise awareness about forest fires that threaten to destroy the region's flora and fauna.
I love your boots, huh? You won't get any leeches with
Yeah,
those,
it's because of the leeches actually. You don't have to laugh at me, but you might just get a lot of leeches.
Ila has been campaigning on social media to drive awareness on these fires. She's taking me, literally, to the heart of the matter.
But your family has had this estate for generations now, or?
Yeah, I think we're the second generation. So
Okay.
this used to be a tea estate. So the forest was always a forest, but this whole big belt
Yeah.
was a tea estate. And when my grandfather bought this place, he actually decided to just leave it alone and observe how the forest would grow up. And this is the forest.
He didn't
that you
plant
see.
anything?
He didn't plant a single tree.
Wow.
And this is how the trees have just grown up, and we have an amazing ecosystem. There are 40 different types of grass that you find here. There are lots of rare moths and butterflies. Of
Natural
course,
reforestation in 70
Yes,
years. You've got all
so
these different species. And
that's
also,
what I keep saying, you know, this reforestation drives where you're planting trees is fine, but what you really need to do is keep the humans and the cattle and the grazing animals out of the forest, and it will reproduce and it will regenerate. Look at this.
completely
extent.
untouched. You haven't done any
Nothing.
brushing or anything.
Nothing.
Wow.
It's completely a naturally grown forest. So about 60 years and that's what you have.
And all the tea bushes are gone by now.
You
There's not
can
enough
find the
sunlight.
tea. You can see the tea down below. If you observe the dark green leaves, that's tea. We actually pick it in April.
The forest fires are a huge problem. There's plenty of controversy on whether these are naturally occurring or deliberately set off by people. Irrespective of that, at the end of the day, the fires destroy century-old trees and animal habitat, besides endangering residents like Ila and her family.
So it's really tragic to lose such huge old trees because sometimes the fire around the undergrowth is so hot that the tree actually dies.
Wow, this is so cool. It's got like all these.
It has a
All
lot
these
of
mushrooms?
Yes, it's got all these wood mushrooms. Some of them are edible actually.
Really?
Yeah.
So have you guys been replanting this also with?
Yeah. So this is an oak. This was an oak tree. So we plant oak trees. We plant kafal, which is a fruiting berry.
Okay.
It's great for birds and monkeys. And we plant a lot of fruiting, like wild figs. We plant a lot of other broad-leafed trees, which are like kol and different types of ash.
How many trees have you planted in the area?
This year, the group, including my family, have done over about 20,000. We could have done more.
How many
but,
people did you involve in the planting?
I think, we had little groups of volunteers
Yeah.
throughout, but I think over 200 people took part.
This part of the forest has still been spared and is one of the last remaining havens for wildlife in the area. Consequently, Ila says this region has more humidity and retains the rainwater longer than the other areas of the forest because there's less runoff.
So if you have a look here,
Oh, those are oak trees, huh?
these are all oak trees. And oak trees, as you know, are really important to conserve groundwater. Whenever rainwater falls, they actually make it percolate and stay in the ground because their leaf cover is like a great mulch.
Okay.
So it keeps the moisture from evaporating. So in our trial tea estate forest, my family discovered in 60 years that where the fields used to be barren at the bottom of that forest, now they're always moist throughout the year because the oak trees have created a lovely ecosystem and they just conserve all the rainwater. So throughout the summer, it's still all moist and they can grow things.
The villagers living nearby frequently come into this forest to collect fodder for their cows. Unfortunately, this continues to be one of the primary contributors to the forest not being able to regenerate.
So we are right in between Sattal
And Binsar.
and Bimtal on the
So
other side.
this is an eco-sensitive zone
Right.
and it's called a watershed. So the rainwater collects in this forest, in this mountain, and then it feeds these two through underground springs and also springs that come out. So we have 2 freshwater springs down there and 2 that side. So it's very important to conserve the forest cover on these mountains because we've seen the springs drying up in all parts of Uttarakhand because of the oak trees dying out because of dairy farming. So what I've tried to do is I've tried to set up a completely charitable, transparent collective, a cooperative for farmers to sell their produce directly to farmers markets or to buyers or to stores, any consumer, to try to remove dairy farming from the economy.
To try to add other sources of
Yes,
income from the
so
local
whatever
residents.
little they do produce, these subsistence farmers, just to help them to be able to sell it, because their daily income is about 100 rupees or 70 rupees, and they subsist on that. So instead of cutting down all the forests to feed that one cow, what I'm doing is I'm trying to help them to sell vegetables and that they grow them throughout the year, and that they have a better source of income. So the ones that I have done the trial project with has worked out well because their income has been much more than 100 rupees a day.
I'd love to get one of those photos of you with the tree though. Should I also join the frame and hug the tree from the other side, Joy? I can't join in the forest hugging mission. Huh? No, I won't fall down. I'm taller. I'll hold on to the tree. Oh, it's true, huh? People do marry trees, huh?
Yeah, finally found the one.
Joy, please get a double hugging shot.
Influencing people to hug trees.
Oh, Ela, we're bonding.
Sometimes to get to the bottom of something, you need to drive there. It's almost as if someone did not want us to visit Pong Dam, the reservoir that you can see on the map of Himachal Pradesh, but no one seems to know the way to.
You remember the guy I played golf with in Naldera?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so he had posted some pictures of this lake from which you could see the Dauladars, and it didn't look like a lake. It looked a bit like Pangong Lake in Leh, and it was like an ocean.
Oh.
And the more I drive around here, and the more you see all these dry streams, I'm just like, what is this place that has all the water while all the the rivers have no water, the streams have no water? Where is all the water? So apparently all the water is at Pong Dam. Pong Dam. It's kind of a funny name also.
Pong Dam. Ping pong.
It's not easily accessible. We wanted to take a slight detour on the way back, but it's turning out to be a bit of an expedition.
I had no idea that the location would be this remote. The vehicle, sat-nav, and even the navigation app on the phone have given up.
Wow, talk about going off-road. Now we're actually driving on the riverbed. Beat that. It appears out of nowhere, this reservoir, and it's larger than I had imagined. So large, in fact, that it appears to stretch all the way to the horizon.
WION Traveller truly knows no bounds. Who would have thought? There's an ocean out here, man. It looks like an ocean.
I'm no fan of dams, but apparently this reservoir is a regular pit stop for flocks of migratory birds flying south during the winter months. So much so that taking cognizance of the biodiversity in this region, this water body has been designated a protected area. That, in my mind, is really the most compelling reason that justifies its existence.
Last year, Meraj and I drove all over Ladakh. Exploring this massive expanse is only possible if you've got your own set of wheels, unless you want to hand over a significant part of your inheritance to cab drivers. Meraj and I had not planned to stop in Kargil before heading down to Srinagar. Neither of us thought that there was any merit in spending time in this town. But that changed when we had a chance conversation with Musamil at the Suru Boulder Fest. Musamil is from Kargil, and he told us about this village right on the line of control that was abandoned by its residents many decades back.
We make a pit stop at a popular viewpoint on the way to Hundarman village. People stop here mostly for viewing army posts on the LOC. The military bunkers, white dots on the mountaintops, give an indication of just how tough a soldier's life is in this region. We continue on and the village comes into view around a bend. At first glance, the village is barely distinguishable from the hillside. That's how well integrated it seems into the landscape. Hundarman is often described as a ghost village, and it's only when you visit that you realize just how appropriate that description is. it's not lifeless. The fields surrounding the village are still tilled by villagers, and the houses still bear marks of erstwhile inhabitants.
Wow, this is gorgeous, yeah.
Yeah, this is at least 500 years old.
500, huh?
Yeah. So this is our first gallery.
Gallery. When you say gallery, what do you mean by gallery?
So in these we have, it's kind of a museum. So it's called the Unlock Hundarman Museum of Memories, because we wanted to give you like a softer side of the war, right? So the objects inside are basically objects of daily use, which we have found in this house itself. But the reason why we call it unlock, because it has this traditional locking system, which is quite interesting.
Oh, it looks like there's no lock at all on it.
So yeah, you can see that's the key. While trying to open it.
Wow, that's pretty neat.
Still works.
Muhammad Ilyas lives in a village higher up in the valley where erstwhile residents of Hundarman have re-established their houses. His childhood was spent in one of these very houses. Now the same structure has been turned into a gallery which displays an assortment of objects used by his family.
Is written from Brolmo, which is the neighboring village in Pakistan. अपनी उसकी एक भाई ने अपनी बहन को लिखा है यहाँ पे.
ये वाला मेरी माँ.
हाँ, Ilyas's mother.
Oh, your mother?
Yeah.
Oh.
So this is the print of like a
of the parchment
blow up of the actual Urdu letter, and this we have translated into English.
Fantastic.
And this was the board that is which.
So this was your house, Ilyas? यहाँ पर
It broke down.
चलिए दिखाइए फिर.
This is where Ilyas was born.
This is where Ilyas was born?
Really?
And he grew up here in this room, in this house.
You grew up in this house, हाँ? बड़े इस घर में हुए हैं, बताइए. क्या बात है. अच्छा, and it's right, the rock face is right here.
Yeah, you can
तो
see
ये पहाड़ के पे ही बन
it's
गया.
built on the rock face.
That is so cool. It's like living in a cave when you have all sides rock, huh?
In a way, yeah.
But where does the smoke
99
go?
वार में यहाँ पे बैठता था.
So this
आप यहाँ बैठते
was,
थे.
this was a fire pit, this thing in the middle.
Yeah, so the smoke was going up from
Required
here.
oil.
Hold up.
सिलबट्टा.
So
आजकल मशीन पे निकलते हैं ना. पहले जब गिरी तोड़ने के बाद 3-4 लेडीज को बुलाया तो नीचे वो रखा हुआ है इसके ऐसा.
समझ गया. वो क्या है वो पीछे? जी ये what are these?
So these are objects जो इन्हीं के ही हैं. जरा Ilyas को.
सिक्के.
ये माला जो मेरे माँ का है तो.
अच्छा, ये आपके मॉम की है.
ये लेटर है जो पत्थर के
Lighter.
साथ टच करके.
Traditional lighter.
अच्छा, फ्लिंटस्टोन.
हाँ.
अच्छा.
और इसमें गांधी जी चश्मा है, क्वीन से पैसा. यहाँ पे बड़े जमहूरियत पाकिस्तान गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया की.
This is a very rare.
अरे हाउ कम यार, ये उर्दू में कैसे है? ये तो मैंने देखा नहीं पहले कभी. और तो मैंने देखे हैं, और तो मैं भी पहले कॉइन्स कलेक्ट करता था बच्चों ने.
1940 के.
So in 47 when partition happened, Pakistan did not have a reserve bank for a year.
अच्छा.
So India used to print the currency for them.
Look at the stove. What is this? What is this thing here? Is this an oven? This whole thing? What is
No, this is not an oven. This is actually
storage area?
this is actually where they used to keep like newborn lambs and
Inside the home?
in the winter. In the winter.
अच्छा, in the
Because
winter.
outside it used to be too cold, right?
Right.
So they used to. These are like all the
Shells.
bomb shells.
ये
Yeah.
कब गिरे यार? ये तो अनएक्सप्लोडेड लग रहा है यार मेरे को.
Right, मतलब
Wow, don't
right,
touch
मतलब
them, huh?
वो वाला तो लाइव शेल है.
हाँ बिल्कुल.
हाँ?
एक्चुअली बड़े को रखने नहीं दिया.
बड़े को नहीं रखने दिया. अच्छा ही किया नहीं रखने दिया. कुछ भी हो सकता है, खुदा ना खास्ता कहीं कभी भी.
ये मटर का गोला है. इससे एक बड़ा भी होता है.
And these are also war paraphernalia.
Yeah.
हाँ, ये विंटर का ये
इसमें grains रखते हैं.
हाँ रखता था.
और ये सब इंडियन आर्मी
इंडियन
है.
वार में 2 बंदा इसमें बैठ जाता था जो ज्यादा डर जाता था इसी के अंदर.
Wow, this is like living history है.
जून इंडिया में आया 1971 में तो 73-72 में ये कार्ड बनाया.
ये लोग इंडिया आए थे.
हाँ.
ना इंडिया में
अच्छा,
जब
1970
तक बंद था ना.
जब when it got annexed into India, these were their fresh IDs.
Oh, they got fresh IDs.
मेरे दादाजी है, चाचा, ये भी दादाजी.
The memorabilia in particular is a poignant reminder of the human cost of war. Hundarman village was quite an experience. It's quite amazing that Muzammil and friends have taken it upon themselves to protect and showcase it to the world.
On the way out of Kargil, we gave a ride to the most unexpected celebrity you'd expect to run into, a rap musician from Mumbai.
Oh boy, Sonamarg! Here we come.
Hey, who's that guy? Hey, this
Mawali, MC Mawali.
it's our guy, man. Hey.
What do you want to do? Roll the window, man. MC, what's happening? Where are you going? Where are you going?
I'm going to
Srinagar. We can drop you to Sonamarg.
Please drop me.
Yeah, man.
Aja.
Open.
Sorry.
Open.
Sorry, child locks. Go for it. All right.
We met MC Mawali at the Suru Boulder Fest. MC is from Dharavi in Mumbai and one of the hottest talents in the emerging rap scene in India.
Fantastic, yeah. When did you leave Suru, yeah? Suru se kab nikla tu?
शुरू से तो मैं निकला हो गया आधा घंटा.
आधा घंटा? You have a flight?
Srinagar.
You have a flight from
We're
Srinagar.
flying Srinagar, Baba.
When do you have a flight?
I have a flight on tomorrow morning 8 o'clock.
अच्छा सही है ठीक है.
Okay.
सोनमर्ग तक तो हम पहुंच जाएंगे इंशाल्लाह जल्दी से.
एक नंबर.
Awesome, bro. Good to have you on board. MC, how long have you been rapping here?
I've been writing poetry since my 7th grade.
Since your 7th grade, huh?
Yeah, and I've released my official tracks in last 5 years back. My first track was out called Laz Vatte Guy.
Laz?
Laz Vatte Guy.
ये अपना मराठी में?
Yeah. उसका मतलब है, are you ashamed of your females getting raped? So
Okay.
it was a very serious topic.
Oh, basically, are you afraid of women getting abused in this country? Yeah, okay.
Are you ashamed?
Are you ashamed of it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, good one.
Yeah, so
I mean, yeah, we
that was 5 years back, and that was the officially I was in the market
as a rapper.
Yeah.
Which was like your 1 hour big hit.
Gondhal.
Gondhar?
Gondhal मतलब confusion.
Confusion? सुना ना रे मजा आएगा.
गणनायका तू विघ्नहर्ता तू गौरी पुत्रा तारसी भक्ता भेटी दे सख्या मावळ चिंता गोंधळा मांडला कर दूर शंका सर्व कार्य आदि वंदितो त्याला गणपती राजा नाचत आला गळ्यात शोभत मुद्द्यांच्या माळा तालात वाजत पायी घागऱ्या आता बंधू माता आदि शक्ती रूप तू जगदवती अंबे माता रेणुका उदे अंबाबाई गोंधळालाया मातुळजा भवानी गोंधळालाया छळू नको बाळा किती सोसू कळा मूळ माय तुझी असू दे कृपा हे जग गोंधळ तुझ्याच शक्तीचा उदे आंबे तुझ्या अनंत रूपा.
Wow! Awesome, bro. Translate it a bit now. What does that mean? I didn't get all.
Gondhal is a ritual in Maharashtra.
Okay.
Which is been celebrated in Ganesh Chaturthi.
Okay.
So it's a ritual where India has a lot of gods.
Right.
And people are confused that who is the real god. Like what is my god?
Right.
You know?
Right.
So there are millions of gods in India.
Right.
So Gondhal this ritual is to remove the confusion that God is one.
Oh.
So in that there actually when they perform this ritual,
right,
there is an old man who comes and says that I am Ganpati, and he welcomes all the god one by one, and at the end he gives the message that yeah, every god is one and it's about oneness.
Okay, so yeah, multiplicity, but that leads to sort of oneness. Yeah. That's a great idea, man.
We're finally there, the last Himalayan pass on this trip. Zojila Pass connects the Kashmir Valley to Ladakh and is no walk in the park. Unpaved single-lane tracks leave little space for two vehicles to pass each other, and if you're on the cliffside, then things can get pretty scary. We make it down in one piece and make our way through Dras and into the gorgeous vales of Sonamarg. These meadows are called bugyals. This is Kashmir Valley as you imagine it to be. Horses cantering about, unending tracts of undulating green, and pretty creeks flowing through the landscape. There couldn't be a more appropriate exit line for our trip than Sonamarg.